Ребятки, всем привет! Мы на канале Элизабет Орловский. И мы следим за тем, как идет передвижение урагана Ирма в сторону Флориды. И вот сейчас на примере хочу вам здесь немножко показать такое. Значит, вы видите часть, я специально остановил, вот часть, это Флорида и Майами. Значит, и мы видим, как уже погода там портится, уже идет дождь, и вот выпадают осадки, вот, причем очень быстро, и ураган уже продвигается и подходит к Майами. Значит, буквально где-то, наверное, с субботы на воскресенье, ночью, ураган Ирма уже зайдет во Флориду, и посмотрим, какие будут проходить события. Я специально сделаю немножко такой обзор, потому что, может быть, кто-то не в курсе. Так что смотрите сейчас на нашем канале. Я сделаю такой краткий обзор. Посмотрим веб-камеры. Значит, я специально остановил. Это с телевидения Флориды. Это идет там прямая трансляция. И они каждую минуту передают свежие новости об урагане Ирма. Так, значит, давайте сейчас глянем, быстренько посмотрим лайв-камеры. Вот, камера Флориды. Видите, пока мы что видим, здесь не особенно какие-то сильные такие изменения. Периодически идет дождь, ветер, порывистый, но не сильный. Не сильный пока ветер. Вот. Был с ночи тоже ветер, потом утром пошел вот сейчас дождь. Вот что мы видим на картинке здесь. Вот. Дождя как таковой сильного нет, то есть ветер. Дождь прошел. И идет мелкий. Сейчас зайдем еще на некоторые камеры. Посмотрим, что там интересного. Так, сейчас зайдем еще. Вот тоже канал погоды. Здесь каждый раз передают тоже свежие новости. Вот сейчас я немножко сделаю вам погромче, чтобы так. Может, кто-то английский понимает, так слушайте. Давайте чуть-чуть послушаем немножко.
We are working together very hard to ensure the safety of the Broward residents. At this time, I'm going to invite Juliet Rulak from FPL to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. As we are getting closer to the storm, anxieties are raising up. And I want to be here to assure you that FPL is doing all it can to assure that everything will be in place for a proper restoration. We have over 13,000 workers in place ready to respond and restore your power after the storm. Some of you are already experiencing outages.
Ребята, можете писать тоже, также мне задавать вопросы.
That is going to be as hard as it is to know. It is going to happen. Some of you may experience outages before the storm arrives fully, because the outer bands are starting to impact us with weather conditions. Please understand that that is expected, and we are doing everything we can to make sure we keep you advised. All of us are here to help. I myself will be writing and staying here at the EOC through the storm, and FPL will have a presence here so that we can give you as much updated information as possible. We know information is important to our customers, and we are here for you in that regard. Please remember the to be safe. It is so important that you are all in your homes now and really trying to be safe.
Мы сделаем такой обзор, сейчас небольшой. Посмотрим, что передают по каким каналам, какие новости. Это сейчас канал национальной погоды Соединенных Штатов. Вот. В общем, все подготавливаются к встрече урагана. Какие будут, как говорится, подводные камни, никто не знает. Вообще не знают, как будет развиваться ситуация. Как мы видим, погода уже портится. Вот. Погода портится.
I myself will be writing and staying here at the EOC through the storm, and FPL will have a presence here so that we can give you as much updated information as possible. We know information is important to our customers, and we are
все объявляют, как бы, внимание к тому, чтобы люди вели себя спокойно, те, кто сейчас находится в городе, но в основном очень много людей уехало, покинуло прибрежную часть Флориды, Майами. Там постоянно курсируют. Я не делаю перевод ее, я от себя говорю, что постоянно как бы под контролем там все находится. Есть специальные службы, которые контролируют ситуацию в городе.
I would like to at this time invite our Broward Sheriff forward for a few remarks.
Thank you, Mayor.
Мы будем следить за новостями, конечно, интересно очень. Давайте сейчас глянем на веб-камерах, какие еще есть кадры. Но в основном это вот некоторые веб-камеры. Значит, здесь вот что мы видим сейчас. Рекламу.
כי רק בגט, השליח מגיע לאיסוף תוך פחות מ10 דקות, נוסע משם ישר ליעד, ובמחיר הכי...
Вот сама набережная, видите? Даже слышно ветер. Вот вы видите, как уже набегают тучки. Идет дождь. Здесь идет в этой части дождь. Вот даже видно, люди ходят. Слышно ветер, да, как микрофон воспринимает силу ветра, видно ветер и не очень сильный, и не слабый, видно, средний, но ветерок, да. Волн таковой сильных тоже нету. Ветер, видите, течением волны несет вот туда. Вот я показываю стрелкой, вот так вот идут, видите? Даже чайки летают еще. Вот. То есть такого сильного ветра... Если бы очень сильный ветер был бы, то чайки здесь, птицы не летали. В Израиле тоже зимой так бывает. Вот когда наступает зима и бывают сильные ветры, дожди. Прошлая зима началась тоже вот так вот, сильным порывистым ветром. Был сильный дождь. Так, хорошо, давайте сделаем еще раз обзор. Посмотрим, что где что передают. Так, это канал Флориды. Вот нам показывают, видите, сам ураган уже почти подходит к Майами. Уже какие-то его крылышки, видите, уже, видите, касаются уже часть Майами. Вот. Четвертой категории, третий. И дальше он распыляется, неизвестно, как дальше идет ситуация. Вот, показана часть уже осадков. Это Вест Палм-Бич. Сначала говорили, что Тампа, город Тампа, с этой стороны он зайдет. как бы, но видите, события невозможно предугадать, но, конечно, там в их национальной службе по тем, кто следят за погодой, они, конечно, знают, наверное, поминутно, как это все будет, но кто знает, все предугадать тоже тяжело. Вот, Вест-Палм-Бич, видите, Джексонвилл и Атланта туда дальше. Еще есть один ураган, который образовался, он идет за ИРМой, Хосе, по-моему, да, и Катя ураган, который сейчас бушует в Мексике. Почему-то особенно о них не говорят. Вот даже по времени расписано, когда он уже будет бушевать в Майами. По времени уже. Тут градусы пишутся. Ну, в общем, скорость ветра. Вот я вам тут мышкой так вот немножко показываю. Это я специально сделаю такой обзор для тех, кто, конечно, тоже интересуется вот этим сейчас погодным таким катаклизмом, который сейчас происходит. Вот. И просто хочу, чтобы те, кто там подписчики моего канала, или просто кто-то пришел в гости, так что добро пожаловать, чтобы были знали все, что происходит на другом континенте, допустим. Тоже людям не позавидуешь, конечно, оставили все свои дома.
Rescuing and covering and seeing the aftermath of when somebody goes out and gets hurt and you or has an accident and you see it and you think they thought, oh, it wasn't going to be that bad.
Давайте послушаем, что она говорит. Кто понимает английский, пожалуйста, послушайте. Вы также можете заходить на официальные сайты и тоже также смотреть в прямом эфире, все передают. Ребята, кто еще не подписан на мой канал, подписывайтесь, пожалуйста, заходите. Вот. Мы из Израиля вещаем о путешествии, ну и всякие такие события интересные. Вот сейчас освещаем вот это событие, которое вот происходит в океане. Флорида, Майами, ураган ИРМА. Был 5-й категории на Кубе и Пуэрто-Рико. Сейчас, по-моему, 4-я категория. Вот, заходит 4-я категория. Ну, сейчас еще не заходит, потому что там сейчас еще утро. Вот, и ближе к вечеру, суббота на воскресенье, это будет, значит, уже он точно зайдет уже в Майами, Флорида, Вест-Палм-Бич и так дальше. И, скорее всего, будет бушевать уже завтра, это, то есть воскресенье уже там. Вот, видите, показывают все. Движение, видите. Вот Майами, ураган. Уже крылышки урагана уже подходят.
Don't want to wax poetic here, but you know, Sheriff Snyder, law enforcement gets criticized and all that, but you serve and protect, and you call somebody, you call for help, and you guys, the men and women in law enforcement, put their own lives on the line.
Это канал Флориды. Они в прямом эфире здесь все вещают каждую минуту, передают, как происходит все на самом деле. Давайте так чуть-чуть послушаем. Еще раз повторяюсь, я не делаю это все в плане копирования, я просто хочу до своих подписчиков и тех, кто, может быть, не знает, донести то, что сейчас происходит вот именно в районе Майами, Флорида, что заходит ураган ИРМА, который может нанести очень большой ущерб действительно Майами, Флорида, потому что там не только постройки, которые там вот первые этажи, там же также постройки, высотные здания, краны. То есть при сильном порывистом ветре можете себе представить, если этот кран упадет, и не один, и вообще, ну, в общем, ситуация неизвестная, просто никто не может ничего предвидеть, как оно что будет.
information there. So my turn now. Let's cover some of the new information that we're getting in. We're keeping an eye out on the chat from the Storm Prediction Center. They are keeping us in a slight risk for severe storms, and they have said that they're keeping the possibility of issuing a tornado watch open. That's because when you are in the outer bands of these storms, sometimes you get those very weak spin-up tornadoes, so we could see some tornado warnings, especially as we head into the afternoon and we get some of that heating and some of the bands do start to intensify. So most of our area included in this slight risk for severe storms, and as I mentioned, we could see a tornado watch issued. So let's talk about.
Да, ребята, еще раз хочу повториться. Обещанная трансляция о косметике, которая должна была быть вчера, не состоялась по другим причинам. Я думаю, что, скорее всего, она будет, но уже после презентации телефона Apple 8 модели, которая будет во вторник. Еще раз, во вторник. Не знаю, в котором часу, скорее всего, около 7 вечера по московскому времени. Вот. Мы также будем следить за новостями. Вот. Я, скорее всего, эту трансляцию буду тоже транслировать. Ну, это будет у меня на канале тоже в прямом эфире. Посмотрим. Если нет, то каждый может зайти даже на официальный сайт Apple, и трансляция будет там в прямом эфире тоже идти. Так что это будет такое событие, будем смотреть. Ладно, давайте послушаем, что он там говорит. Еще раз напомню, что мы смотрим обзор тех каналов, которые сейчас транслируют в прямом эфире об урагане Ирма, который скоро сейчас, через какое-то время зайдет в Майами, Флорида. И, конечно, никто не знает, какие могут быть события, как будет разворачиваться ситуация. Но люди подготовились, многие уехали, очень много уехало. Было даже забиты все трассы, потому что люди, которые не смогли или не успели заправиться бензином, у них заканчивался бензин, и были большие пробки на дорогах. Вроде бы ситуацию разрулили. Вот. Мы очень хорошо подготовились. Вот. Так что мы делаем обзор о том, как подходит ураган Ирма. Вот, еще раз также смотрим, значит, тут 3 камеры. 3 камеры. Вот, вот то, что мы видим, это Флорида, видите, тоже тут пальмы уже гнутся, ветер, волны. Вот. Здесь камера немножко тормозит, это тоже то, что мы видели. Здесь, как показано, происходит процесс движения урагана, но, да, видите, 9 число, 6 утра. Немножко здесь, я думаю, по-моему, с опозданием идет. То есть эта часть урагана уже не здесь, а она где-то уже здесь. Вот здесь я показываю. Вот. Он прошел мимо Доминиканской республики. Там сильные, конечно, разрушения. Но вы все, конечно, следите за новостями. Многие, я уверен, в курсе. Вот. Так, смотрим, что у нас еще, какие камеры есть. Здесь. Так, смотрим, здесь у нас уже камера так вживую, видите, дождь идет. То есть видно, как набирает обороты ураган. Видно, да. Течением туда волны несет, видите. Волн таковой сильных нету. Вот чего сильно опасаются, это сильные волны, то есть прилив, понимаете, из-за сильного шторма. Так, смотрим дальше, какая камера у нас еще одна есть тут. Реклама нам только так. Это часть, видите, часть дома с бассейном у кого-то. Тоже кто-то поставил камеру, вот. Но это, видимо, в середине дома, потому что здесь не так сильно видно, сильно ветер. Но тоже есть, вот видите, но части дома закрывают с одной, с другой стороны. Так, ладно, дальше смотрим вот эту камеру. Вот, видите, тут уже тоже уже ветер поднялся, да, видите. То есть меняется все буквально там минуты, даже за какие-то минуты может измениться капитально погода. То есть вот видите, пошел сильный дождь. Вот ветер также. Вот. То, что мы видим сейчас здесь. Идет сильный дождь и ветер. Ребята, кто смотрит нашу трансляцию, можете также делиться ей, присоединять тоже своих друзей. Так что давайте информацию всем, чтобы смотрели, интересовались тоже, что происходит на других континентах тоже. Я думаю, у нас интересный прямой эфир получится. Вот, спасибо всем, кто смотрит, конечно. Пишите, задавайте вопросики. Так, смотрим дальше, что у нас еще есть. Что у нас еще есть? Заходим на вот тот же сайт о погоде. Послушаем, что говорят. Так вот, кто понимает английский, пожалуйста. Вы также можете все заходить на прямой эфир, также, повторюсь, всех официальных сайтов, там смотреть информацию. Мы будем сегодня вести такую трансляцию, будем интересоваться, как происходит движение урагана Ирма.
That tornado warning will continue until 10:15 a.m. and the dangerous storm is going to be near Shark Valley around 9:35 a.m. Big Cypress National Preserve around 9:50 a.m. And you definitely need to take cover right now. Move to an interior room, to the lowest floor of a sturdy building. If you do live in or near these areas,
это уже показывают именно по частям самой Флориды и Майами, где сейчас уже развиваются события, вот, как я говорил, крылышки урагана уже заходят, значит, Homestead, да. То есть вот в этой части уже погода портится. Ребята, не забываем ставить лайки. Спасибо всем, кто смотрит нашу трансляцию. Я стараюсь вам преподнести приятный эфир, чтобы вам было приятно смотреть. Немножко делаю такой вот коммент к видео. Значит, мы будем вот так вот перемещаться по каналам и смотреть веб-камеры. Ну, то есть будем в курсе событий всего. Не будем зацикливаться на одной передаче, на одной трансляции. А так будем перебегать, смотреть, кто что передает. Ну и по ходу я буду с вами общаться. Делитесь трансляцией. Пишите мне в комментах, что бы вы хотели видеть на нашем канале на YouTube. Вы также знаете, что мы снимаем о путешествиях, еда. Вот сейчас недавно я презентовал новую, как бы, такое на канале обзоры готовки еды. Напишите, может быть, кто-то хочет посмотреть, чтобы я что-то приготовил интересное.
seat cover and make sure that you stay inside because we're seeing these storms are pushing through
Это конкретно
fairly
уже
quickly,
рассказывают,
and they are
какие именно
moving to the
города
west at 50 miles per hour. Okay, the severe
подвергнутся
thunderstorm
удару
producing the
стихии.
tornado, we haven't confirmed yet it's a tornado, was located
Как
about
радар
8 miles
такой, видите.
northwest of Homestead General Airport.
Да, про аэропорт она сказала, аэропорт закрывается сегодня. Все, кто смогли улететь, улетели. Кто не смогли, уезжают машинами. Но аэропорт закрывается.
Yeah. And so this is just the first warning of, I'm sure, a number that will happen today because that's what we expect with a hurricane of this magnitude.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's get right to radar and show you that we also have, in addition to that storm, if we could go to computer aid,
немножко упало у нас качество трансляции, но не у меня, у них.
We could also see the potential for tornadoes. So as we zoom on
Сейчас я
in and
попробую
we show you what's
сделать,
happening
но я
down
думаю, это
in
у
Dade
них, да,
County,
это у них.
that's where we're seeing
Тут идет
these
трансляция
dangerous
с
storms
низкой
moving here
скоростью интернета у
across
них.
the inland areas of Miami-Dade and again
Ладно,
across
перейдем
some of the
сейчас посмотрим
unpopulated areas.
на
So,
другом канале,
just a heads up
что
regarding
у нас
that.
другой
But look at
канал
what's happening
вещает.
across the Keys, from Key Largo through Isla Mirada, Marathon and Key West.
Посмотрим именно канал Флориды. Нет, это не канал Флориды. Канал Флориды у нас уже вот здесь вот. Вот. У них более качественное, видите, соединение с интернетом. Ну, посмотрим здесь, интересно тоже. Вот как мы видим, все, видите, немножко тише. Третий, четвертый. Уровень категории, вот четвертый, он зайдет с четвертым. Потом город Тампа, тоже Флорида, там уже немножко третий стихнет, и также дальше. Это все предположительное движение урагана. Как оно будет на самом деле, конечно, никто не знает. Но я думаю, что они уже как бы подготовились к этому. Уже примерно знают движение, но все равно все может пойти по другому сценарию. Давайте, кто понимает английский, послушаем. Ребята, напишите, кому нравится трансляция, кому нравится, так как мы сейчас вот это все вещаем, и я заодно комментирую. Ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь, конечно.
As always, and with this huge storm, there's a lot of people to keep informed. Bill, you stay safe. I know there's a couple of stations over there you're going to be with, and we'll be in touch with you as well. Do stay safe and tell our co-workers over there the same from all of us. Let's now turn to Governor Scott.
Это выступает мэр Флориды. Давайте послушаем, что.
Hurricane Irma is now impacting our state. Southeast Florida is already experiencing tropical storm force winds, and nearly 25,000 people have already lost power. Hurricane Irma is beginning to batter the Florida Keys with dangerous winds and continues to remain a catastrophic and life-threatening Category 4 storm with winds of 130 miles per hour. This is a deadly storm, and our state has never seen anything like it. Millions of Floridians will see major hurricane impacts with deadly storm surge and life-threatening winds. The threat of significant storm surge flooding along the entire west coast of Florida has increased. And 6 to 12 feet, think about that, 6 to 12 feet of impacts above ground level is now probable. 6 to 12 feet, this will cover your house. If you've ever watched how storm surge works, it flows in fast, very fast, then it flows out. You will not survive all this storm surge. This is a life-threatening situation. If you've been ordered to evacuate, you need to leave now. Do not wait. Evacuate. Not tonight, not in an hour. You need to go right now. If you're in an evacuation zone, leave. Evacuations are in place across the state. More than 5.6 million Floridians have been ordered to evacuate. You need to listen to local evacuation orders. If you live in an evacuation zone in southwest Florida, you need to be on the road by noon or find the nearest shelter to avoid life-threatening weather. It's going to go faster than you are. These winds are coming. If you're in this area and you're planning to leave and have not done so by noon, do not get on the road. If you're on the west coast trying to go north, I mean, you're going to have a hard time getting out. Just remember this. Once the storm starts, law enforcement cannot save you.
Вот видите, скоба идет четвертый входит во Флориду, и дальше идет третий. Все, слушаем, я не перебиваю.
Right now is the time to do the right thing for you, yourself, and your family. School buses are aiding in evacuations. Please take advantage of this service. If you need to leave and for whatever reason you're unable to leave and you need help, whether it's fuel, whatever the issue is, call 1-800-342-3557 and we will do everything possible to get you out. 1-800-342-3557. Protecting life is our absolute top priority. There will be no resource or expense spared to protect life. Our goal is to protect every person in this state's life. I urge everyone to check on your neighbors, your family, and your friends. If you know somebody who is not evacuating and should, contact them and make sure they have a plan to get out. We are being very aggressive in our preparation for this storm, and my hope is every Floridian should take this seriously and be aggressive to protect their family. Your house can be replaced, your possessions can be replaced, your life cannot be replaced, and your family cannot be replaced. Shelters. We have been working with counties to ensure there are enough shelters. Currently, there are more than 260 shelters open across the state in every county in the state. At least 70 more shelters are opening today. More than 50,000 Floridians have taken shelter, and there's still room for more. If you have a building, emergency individuals ask you to open a shelter, please comply. It's going to save people's lives. This is so important to families seeking safety. Everyone in Florida needs to find a safe place to go. Traffic. We still see some traffic, but overall evacuation routes are moving. Evacuations are not meant to be convenient, they're meant to be safe. I'm glad so many are taking this seriously and driving to a safe place. But if you don't need to be on the road, don't be on the road. We've increased the number of troopers on Florida roadways to continue moving traffic along. You can check real-time traffic information evacuation routes at fl511.com. You don't have to evacuate out of the state. You don't have to evacuate even out of your county. You don't have to go hundreds of miles. We have shelters in every county other than Monroe, and those have evacuated to Miami-Dade. So shelters are available in every county. Again, if there's any reason you can't get out, any reason at all, fuel, whatever it is, 800-342-3557. We will do everything we can, but we can't do it once the storm starts. Fuel. We're working aggressively to keep our gas stations open and filled. But this won't last much longer because it's going to be unsafe to be on the roads. We're doing everything we can to get as much fuel into the state as we can. While all the fuel ports in Florida are now closed for safety as IRMA impacts our state, so our ports are closed, so we're not getting any more tankers in. Following the storm, state troopers will resume escorting fuel supply trucks directly to gas stations in your community. So we'll get, after the storm, we'll get, as soon as we can get fuel trucks moving, we'll do it again. I waived Florida's motor vehicle import tax for 5 days to help bring more fuel to our state for storm response and recovery. We all know fuel is important, and we're going to absolutely devote every state resource we can to get the fuel here. Law enforcement. Florida's prepared. We have great first responders. We have great law enforcement. Every single Florida Guardsman has already been deployed that we can deploy, and they're prepared to respond to this storm. We have so many members of our law enforcement and our Guardsmen that are putting their lives at risk to help Floridians get to a safe place, and they will not stop until it's no longer safe for them. I can't thank them enough. Utilities. Our providers are actively pre-positioning resources throughout the state and in neighboring states. We know how important power is, and we're going to be very aggressive at getting power back on. I want to be clear. We are under a state of emergency. Employees who perform vital services, including healthcare staff, we need you to be there to help your community. We need 1,000 volunteer nurses to help at our special needs shelters. If you can volunteer, let me give you a website. BPRCHD preparedness at flhealth.gov. Again, we need more nurses. All available nurses, if you'll please respond to BPRCHD preparedness at flgov or flhealth.gov. We've already received thousands of replies. This is great news, and we're actually working with all of these individuals to support this need. So many people across this country have called to offer their prayers and support. I want to thank the governors of other states that provided every resource we've asked for. I know the entire country is behind us. I've been talking to the White House almost every day. I've talked to President Trump. He has promised all federal resources. I talked to Brock Long, who runs FEMA, this morning, and he's guaranteed us all federal resources. We have the country's best first responders right here in Florida. But if you're in an evacuation zone, I hope you will go right this minute. Get to a safe place. This is a catastrophic storm. We've never seen this before. It's bigger than our state. Florida is tough. Florida is resilient. Florida is unbreakable. Let's all stay together and help each other. We are an amazing melting pot of wonderful people. This is a great state, and we're going to come out of this very strong. Este huracán es muy peligroso. Su vida es lo más importante. Cada familia debe de tener un plan. Por favor, salgan si están en zona de evacuación. Para más información, por favor, llamen al 1-800-342-3557. Mi prioridad es que todos, turistas, familias, estén seguros y preparados. Tiene que tener 3 días de agua.
Governor Scott is still sticking to his guns, right? Very aggressive in his approach to Hurricane Irma, and well, he should be. I mean, now he's in Sarasota, so he's going to see it firsthand, some of the strength of Irma as the bands start coming through and as it goes up the western side of the state. All right, let's dip back in there and listen to the Q&A with the governor.
I've talked to the White House. Vern Buchanan's here. Between the President and Congress, they have all committed all the resources we need. I've talked to Brock Long this morning. I've talked to a variety of cabinet members. They are calling to make sure we have all the resources that we need. This is a great country. We're gonna stand up for each other. Yeah, we move resources as fast as we can. One thing that's difficult in this storm is that typically a storm would come from the east or the west, and so you can position your assets on the other side of the state. This is a little bit harder because it's encompassing our whole state, but we are doing everything we can. We've already have a lot of resources positioned around the state. We've got National Guard positioned around the state. We have our food and our water positioned in the Orlando area, and we'll be moving as fast as we can. FEMA has resources here, but the reason I always say 3 days of water, 3 days of food, have your medicine. You've got to take care of yourself in the beginning because we don't know what the devastation is going to be. We don't know what the roads are going to be. We're going to try to get rid of the debris off the roads to get the trucks here as fast as we can. But we don't know. All I know is everybody's going to show up to help us. We have thousands of volunteers that want to come down here to help us, but we all have to take care of ourselves in the beginning. And the most important thing you can think about right now, if you're in an evacuation zone, you got to evacuate. We will get the shelters open. We'll get the volunteers there. The National Guard will show up. First responders will show up. You got to get out if you're in an evacuation zone. You have got to get to a safe place.
You know, I think people who evacuate, and the first thing you think is to get out of the state, get as far away as possible. But that's not what we're asking.
You don't have to. We've got shelters close. I shut down all the schools starting Friday morning through at least Monday. We'll open up as many shelters as we need. You can shelter in your county. The only one you can't is the Keys, and they've already evacuated, and the shelter for them is in Miami-Dade at FIU. So we're going to continue to open shelters. We do need more nurses. We need more nurses, and I'm sure we're going to need more volunteers. We'll need volunteers in the short term to help staff our shelters, and we're going to need volunteers to help distribute food and water and help with the cleanup. The shelters have been picked because of their location and because of the safety. Now, if it ends up being an evacuation zone, we'll move those shelters. We've had to do that as the storm has moved a little bit further west and we see more storm surge. We've had to move some shelters, and we'll continue to do that if we need to. We've offered buses to help move everybody. But we will do everything we can to keep everybody safe. But the shelters have been chosen county by county based on the safety of the citizens. Well, right now, if you're in an evacuation zone, you need to evacuate, and we will provide whatever shelters we need to for that. All right. Now, we have projections of what sort of the winds are going to be. So you know your house, and you know the risks. So you should make decisions based on that. Anybody else? Okay. I hope everybody takes the warning that you need to get out of these evacuation zones. You need to get to shelter. Thanks everybody, and I wish everybody the best.
All right, Governor Scott talking early on about we will see some catastrophic wind and rain regardless of where you're going to be. He is in Sarasota, so he's going to probably feel a first-hand dose of what's going on. A couple of takeaways from his presser: 6 to 12 foot storm surge expected, and that is life-threatening. So if you're told to evacuate. Very, very important loss of life situation there, and you need to be out by noon over on the West Coast. And we heard Bill Siegel, who's driving over there, that people are heading this way from the situation in Southwest Florida.
And we didn't even talk to each other while the governor was speaking, and you mentioned it just before we went back in for questions and answers about the governor's seriousness.
Yes.
And I was thinking the same thing. We've been watching him all week, and many of you have too, and I'm sure you'll agree with us. He was much more intense in this discussion about the storm.
Ну вот вы
and
прослушали,
as John just mentioned, if you are going to leave, get on the road now on the West Coast because of the intensity of this storm and what's attached to it and where it might be going. And there are people heeding the evacuation, but as the governor mentioned, which is also what you need to think about if you think you need to get out.
Так, еще раз показывают движение сейчас в данном прямом эфире.
He said you can stay
Движение
in your
урагана.
county. There are plenty of shelters available to go to. Take what you need, your medications, your toiletries, your blankets, your towels, washcloths, things like that. Take what you need, but you don't have to hit the road and start driving out of state and start clogging the highways, especially when there could be gas and water issues as you hit the road. So he is reinforcing that it is time to take the necessary precautions to shelter down from this powerful storm as it is moving toward the state. And exactly what its path is going to be is still a little bit up in the air.
Don't let those spaghetti models fool you, because I know the tendency.
Давайте пока они сейчас тут говорят, так вот пробежимся, посмотрим по веб-камерам. Что мы видим на веб-камерах?
פותחים קבוצה בפפר פיי ואוספים כסף בקלות ובפאן. פפר פיי, גם לקבוצות.
Как мы видим, погодка уже капитально портится. Волны еще небольшие, но сильный порывистый ветер. Так. Курсируют машины какие-то, ну, наверное, которые следят за порядком. Смотрим на эту камеру, что здесь. Ну это внутри видно апартмент, чей-то дом. Так, вот эту камеру смотрим. Ветер сильный, дождь нет. Сейчас пробежимся здесь, посмотрим по веб-камерам, какое состояние урагана на данный момент. Как мы видим эту картинку, значит, здесь сейчас идет дождь, ветер. Дождь периодически то сильнее, то слабее. Вот дождь усилился, видите? Так, переходим, посмотрим, что у нас дальше еще есть.
That charges your phone.
Так. Так, мы видели. Флорида канал пока закрылся. Так, вот мы видим, опять же, было 3 камеры. Вот одна открывается, видимо, у нее какие-то технические проблемы. Было 3 камеры. Работает только вот одна хорошо. Да, 2 закрылись, видите? Скорее всего, из-за ветра сильного. Так, значит, нам показана здесь набережная. Это Флорида. Еще люди ходят. Тут ветер усилился. Вот машина, видите, идет. Видно, следит за порядком. Так, здесь показана схема движения урагана, но она немножко неправильна, потому что ураган уже, по-моему, здесь, в этой части где-то. Вот открылись картинки 2. Видите? Ну, как мы видим на этой картинке, ветер сильный из-за того, как пальмы гнутся и волны. Так. Ребята, еще раз напомню насчет трансляции, которая должна была быть вчера насчет косметики. Мы должны были вам показать новую косметику, которую мы приобрели. Вот, сделать такой прямой эфир. И эта трансляция, скорее всего, будет в следующий раз, уже после трансляции Apple, так как мы знаем, во вторник в районе, наверное, 7 или 6 часов вечера по московскому времени, но мы еще точно не знаем, мы уточним и вам сообщим. Уже после этой трансляции мы сделаем обзор косметики. Или на этом канале, или также есть у нас еще один канал Beauty Cosmetic. Кстати, можете тоже переходить. Мы там показываем тоже косметику известных брендов. Вот. Переходите также на этот канал. И есть еще один детский канал у нас. Он недавно открылся. Тоже можете переходить. Там посмотрите, ниже спуститесь, посмотрите, ссылки на канал есть. Вот, под видео, по-моему. Так, переходите тоже на детский канал. Будет тоже там много интересного. Просто мы его сейчас открыли. И просто не совсем есть так времени снимать туда видео, но там будут интересные видео. Вот. Так что заходите. Милости просим. Ну и остаемся на этом канале. Смотрим о урагане Ирма, который движется на Флориду. Вот я сейчас вам показываю прямые трансляции веб-камер. Вот. Одна камера то открывается, то закрывается. А тут еще на велосипеде кто-то ездит при таком ветре. Так, хорошо, идем дальше. Смотрим, что передают еще в новостях. Вот, давайте немножко посмотрим, что он передает у нас тут.
Because those rain bands are starting to move on shore. And when you look at the track from the Hurricane Center, it has more of a northwesterly turn here as we continue through the day today. But the 11 a.m. update may actually have a little bit more of a westerly jog right here before making that turn. And that could be very, very important in the final destination of the storm as it moves up toward Florida eventually. Winds right now at 130. So that's right on the cusp between a Category 3 and a Category 4 hurricane. 129 is a Category 3, so 130 is a Category 4. Expected to move up almost directly over Key West. This is one of the key things that we're looking for. When will it make this move? The second thing is, will it intensify in this area here near Key West? A lot of storms hit this warm water between Cuba and Florida, and they have time to intensify. It's very, very warm. Wind shear is not that high right now. There will be some westerly wind shear eventually as the storm is moving north.
Четвертой категории. Заходит во Флориду четвертой категории.
Then, and this particular track, staying as a Category 4 storm as it makes its way up the west coast of Florida. Let's back up again. I want to back up just one time, and I want to run through this one more time. Notice, even within just a day or so here, we're looking at a pretty wide cone, actually, because there are still many unknowns. Whenever a storm interacts with land, like Irma is doing with Cuba right now, it opens up a lot of questions about where the storm will go. If a storm is out in open water, the cone is typically a lot more narrow because there's nothing to sway the storm one way or another to interfere with its motion. But when a storm is dealing with islands, like Irma is dealing with Cuba right now, and it's dragging along the northern coast of Cuba, that can
Чат сейчас
change
временно не
the
работает, но
way the
я
storm is going to move.
могу потом прочитать ваши
In
все
this
комментарии,
particular cone that
напишите
was
мне,
issued earlier
можете мне
today
под видео
at 5
писать.
a.m. and there wasn't a big update in it at all at 8 a.m., you'll see that most of our viewing area presently is outside of the cone, with the exception of the western parts of Okeechobee County, western parts of Palm Beach County, and then down to Broward and Miami-Dade. So in this particular run, in this particular track, there's still the potential that the storm could end up moving over this direction here and being over Lake Okeechobee. And if that occurs, that's a huge, huge difference in our forecast. Now, let's just, for the time being, say that the storm is going to be over here on this track. Based on how big this storm is, based on the fact that tropical storm force winds extend out over 195 miles from the center, way past the east coast of Florida here and over closer to the Bahamas, and based on the fact that the rain bands already coming in are producing a spin that has created several funnel cloud possibilities and already a couple of tornado warnings we can say with some pretty good confidence that we've got a couple days of rough weather on the way here, even if this storm takes this track over to the west. Those big rain bands are going to start moving into our area. Let me show you what happens as it gets up to the north. I know it says Category 3 here, but it's right in this area, this part of Florida, where it will start to lose a lot of strength. It'll drop to a 2 and a 1, and then a tropical storm fairly quickly here as it moves up through Georgia and over toward Kentucky and Tennessee. Tropical depression, remnant low, and that's it. Okay, just for a moment, we're going to move away from Irma and talk about Hurricane Jose, which is still out here in the Atlantic and making its way over toward the Leeward Islands. I've put on the map here the two very reliable computer models, the American model, the GFS, and the European model, the ECM. And I'll run through the models for you, and then I'll show you the official track for Jose. So in the beginning, Jose takes a track a lot like Irma, where it begins to move over the Leeward Islands. But then there's a pretty fast lift up to the north around that high pressure that starts to erode to the east, and Jose begins to lift to the north. Now there is a little loop-de-loop in here as Jose kind of meanders around out here in the Atlantic. But eventually, as Jose makes more of a turn back to the west, it gets caught up and starts to move up to the north, and computer models have it moving to the north. Now, it does kind of swing back toward the U.S., but then it makes that turn, and when you look at the official track, with winds at 145, it's a Category 4 hurricane right now, moving northwest at 13, and you see the track and this loop back around and the weakening of the storm as it stays out here. Now, it's possible to meander out here a while, but it does look like it eventually just lifts north out into the Atlantic. If that track changes at all, we'll let you know, but this has been pretty consistent with the computer models for the past few days. All right, let's bring it back to Irma now and talk about what we're looking at condition-wise, and this is going to be based on the American model right now, as to what we can expect over the next couple of days. So we're dealing with winds that are going to start to pick up to around 20 to 30 miles per hour as we continue through the morning into the afternoon. 39 miles per hour is where we start to get into tropical storm force winds. So if we look at tonight around 8:30, you'll start to see more and more winds that are very close to tropical storm force, if not over tropical storm force. Now, as we get into tomorrow, and the storm starts to lift up into South Florida or Southwest Florida or over along the west coast of Florida, out a little bit, you'll see our wind speeds start to pick up. Even if it's not a direct impact from us, we're going to start to see winds that are very strong tropical storm force winds or even wind gusts that are hurricane force winds. Here is, by the time we get to Sunday night into Monday morning, and look at some of these estimated wind gusts. We're talking about wind gusts that are very strong Category 1 hurricane wind gusts and Category 2 hurricane wind gusts possible around Lake Okeechobee as we get to Sunday night and Monday. This is with the eye all the way over here, moving up the west coast of Florida. And then as we get into Monday morning, we're still dealing with tropical storm force winds, but by Monday afternoon, it starts to calm down as the storm moves well to our north. So that's what we're looking at as far as wind gusts go. Now let's take a look at what's happening right now. We've got some heavy rainfall.
Вот движение урагана показано.
Starting to move into the Florida Keys, starting to move in down to Miami-Dade. We've got scattered rainfall caught up in the circulation. Remember that this is a huge circulation right here that we have going on. So we've got all kinds of winds spreading out from Irma, grabbing moisture and just pulling it in to Florida. And so that's what's happening up here. It's not a direct
Ребята, спасибо, что подписываетесь.
outer circulation around Irma that's grabbing moisture and pulling it into our viewing area.
приятная трансляция
pretty good sized cells moving in right
для того,
now.
чтобы сделать такой вот обзор об урагане Ирма.
This is heavy rainfall moving into Sebastian.
Мы следим за его движением, как он подходит к Флориде, Майами.
We've got a lot of lightning that just passed through Okeechobee. Good thunderstorm there. We've got rainfall that's headed out here over to Okeechobee. We've got heavy rainfall moving out to the western side of Lake Okeechobee around Buckhead Ridge. We've got this tornado warning down here, Hendry County, Collier County, for this thunderstorm here. And there's a lot more of this headed in. And as we continue through the day today, we'll start to see some of these heavier rain bands lifting to the north along with the storm and starting to move into our viewing area. I'm being told to wrap it up.
Сейчас он закончит, и мы перейдем на канал внутренней Флориды, посмотрим, о чем они говорят.
Thank you, Glenn Glazer. We do want to get to some more information on the Palm Beach County evacuations. We have Sam Smith right now live.
Yeah, Sam, what has changed within the past couple of hours there?
Ага, они закрылись. Они закрылись. Они закрылись, и это все же еще... Тут есть веб-камеры, две, которые закрыты, а работает только одна, так как мы видим вот направление сильного ветра. Вот. Так, хорошо, переходим с веб-камер. Мы еще на веб-камеры вернемся, мы посмотрим, что у нас есть. Давайте вот в эту веб-камеру зайдем, глянем. А, ну это веб-камера дома. Так, вот здесь. Реклама. Реклама. Ага, вот мы видим, видите, на крыше веб-камера и тоже транслирует набережная. Ветер есть. Волны небольшие. Так, переходим, что здесь.
We are going to go to St. Lucie County. New information there. Once under mandatory evacuations, we just learned those evacuations have turned to voluntary.
Так, официальный канал Флориды сейчас закрылся. Может быть, из-за рекламы. Посмотрим, что здесь у нас. А, вот тоже камера, видите? Пляж Майами. Вот, пожалуйста. Прямой эфир Майами пляжа. Даже люди ходят. И вон еще даже, по-моему, купаются какие-то. Вот, видите? Так, ну хорошо, мы еще вернемся на камеры. Давайте зайдем, вот на эту камеру посмотрим. Да, идет дождь. Хорошо, посмотрим немножко новости. Что передают? А, на дорогах перекрыли, полиция, видите?
Could still shift. Now, if you take a look behind me, you're looking at some deputies. They're still out here monitoring the streets out here, still checking some re-entry cards to make sure people are being as safe as possible. But again, as of that EOC press conference this morning, the Barrier Island here in St. Lucie County is now officially under a voluntary evacuation. However, again, all of this still fluid, could still change, but they're urging people to be as safe as possible. That's the very latest in St. Lucie County. Alyssa Hyman, WPTV News Channel 5.
Okay, Alyssa, thank you very much for that update. We've obviously been watching our friends and neighbors in Tampa as well, the Tampa area, the Hillsborough County area.
Yeah, and we do have an update on that right now. We're going to listen in. I believe it's a news conference describing what the situation is there. Let's listen.
You need to plan, have a plan for your family. Heed the advice of emergency management and government. Do what we're asking you to do. Go to a shelter, a safe shelter. and know that we are prepared once that storm has passed. We are prepared to go out into the community and do everything we can to help those that need the help. Thank you.
Good morning. Senator Darrell Rouson, Senate District 19, portions of Hillsborough and Pinellas counties. The time to be brave is now for our first responders, for our law enforcement, for our firefighters, for the great staff of Hillsborough County. I want to congratulate County Administrator Mike Merrill for what he's done and his entire staff, and the Hillsborough County Commissioner and their chairman for working diligently. The time to be brave is not for our citizens to hunker down, but follow the directions, the instructions of the law enforcement professionals, of the emergency professionals. When they tell you to evacuate, evacuate. Mandatory means mandatory, and particularly to the portions of my district, Apollo Beach and Riverview and Brandon that are in A, please, if you haven't left, please go. Safety is about
what just sounds so familiar because now, you know, as we see the new track, people in Tampa, Hillsborough County, along the West Coast, Fort Myers on up, they are all preparing to mandatory evacuation right now. So
all of the officials are really doing the best they can to give you information if you're safe or not safe. Right. They're not keeping anything from you. Neither are we. We just
and
know
we're going to have
ready.
a crew headed to the Tampa area as well, and Fort Myers, and we'll bring you some live looks later in the day and the night. Okay. We did have Tori Dunnan. She is headed to Wellington. So far, no conditions on the roads are really backed up.
Right. We have been checking in. Holly Davis has some new pictures, actually, just in it from the live desk. What are you seeing right now, Holly?
Yeah, well, these new pictures, the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office already feeling the effects of Hurricane Irma. The jail has taken in additional inmates and photos for you
Это,
right
видимо,
here.
кто пишет в Твиттере, то, какие фотографии, сообщения кидают. Даже те, кто сидят в тюрьмах, их тоже их переводят. В целях безопасности.
Thank you, Holly. Yeah, those inmates coming here with those corrections officers accompanying them. You know, Category 5 building. That's what where they had come from in the Keys.
Right.
But out of an abundance of caution, now they've been brought to Palm Beach County, which we will also receive some
Ребята,
weather,
спасибо за лайки.
Just adding a little bit to that story.
Я вижу, трансляция нравится всем.
The person that is going to trial accused of hitting and killing a Delray Beach police officer. She's part of those inmates, as well as Lewis Bennett, the man that is the husband of the missing Delray Beach mother when she went missing at sea. So it just kind of tying things together. Now they're moving to Palm Beach County, where they were to begin with.
Interesting. Okay, so we do now want to we have a lot of crews. We have crews all over the state right now.
Я постараюсь настроить чат, и мы можем общаться в чате.
She's going down the road on the way toward Wellington. I know you're looking at the roadways. You're looking at the curfew in Palm Beach County. What can you tell us, Tori? We don't seem to hear Tori, but you can see she's actually
въезд на платную дорогу, я думаю. Но все платные дороги стали бесплатными на это время. Плату на дорогах отменили. В связи с такой ситуацией.
Okay, yeah, Tori's giving us this play-by-play. Thank you for...
I mean, you just saw an overpass. I mean, we could stay with this for just a second.
Yeah, let's just take while we're getting a different type of view from what we've had a lot of times, where we're actually getting that view out of the car, so you don't have to go anywhere. We'll show it to you. But you know, Tori had just told us that she's headed toward the southbound. She's in southbound lanes, hopping on the Florida Turnpike. I don't know that did we get what intersection she got on?
The Southern Boulevard.
Okay, but she said it's southbound.
Look, obviously the tolls are waived.
Right, as Governor Rick Scott had decided.
And when you think about the last few days, as we're taking a live look right now from our drive cam, Tori Dunnan, in the Wellington area, if you think about how busy the roadways were the past couple of days, we checked in with the Florida Highway Patrol Sergeant Wysocki this morning, and he told us no issues. And I mean,
no
if
cars.
you look right here, even on the northbound side, they're going southbound right now. If you look on the northbound side, those people, they are driving southbound. Yep.
Yeah.
And
even on a Saturday, this is very quiet.
Right.
So what a change it's been from the last couple of days where we saw people going north.
Ребята, заходите также на мои видео, которые сняты ранее о путешествиях.
This is really our whole state is in this boat together. These, you know, our neighbors, our friends, our family who are in every corner of the state. We are all together in this, and you know, we're by your side.
And we've been feeling it together for the past couple of days because, you know, while the track, first of all, it was, you know, started coming up our area on the East Coast, but then what a difference a day makes, or a difference a couple of days makes. Now the West Coast feeling it. Hillsborough County, mandatory evacuations. So we want to get to Felicia right now. I believe we're going to get to Felicia and just talk about, we are expecting that 11 o'clock track. It could show a slight change as we've seen over the past few days. Maybe it won't, though.
Yeah, guys, any time now, and you've said it, we've all been kind of in this together over the past few days because the track has been shifting. Of course, at first it looked like high alert for the East Coast. Now it's looking like high alert for the West Coast. And this is what has been really determining which coast of Florida or where exactly in Florida we were going to see the major impacts. When Irma was able to get away from Cuba and take that turn to the north, and that is still what we're waiting to see. So Irma made landfall on Cuba as a Category 5 hurricane last night. I believe I saw somewhere it's the first time since 1924 that a Category 5 hurricane has made landfall in Cuba. And you can see what this little line represents is the historic center of where the storm has traveled. So the line is representing the line of the center of the storm. So you can see it moving through the Caribbean, making the landfall there in the northern coast of Cuba and hanging out winds at 130 miles per hour. So that is a very weak Category 4, just on the cusp of being a Category 4, but that's because of the interaction with Cuba, the interaction with land. So they are expecting Irma to re-strengthen and the winds to pick back up as it moves away from the coast of Cuba. Still getting a ton of questions about Jose, so I want to clear that up for you quickly, even though
Сейчас она закончит, и мы вернемся, посмотрим еще на веб-камеры.
Taking a lot of the same passage that Irma did take, and I think that's why it's making people nervous. However, there are different steering mechanisms in place in the atmosphere that are going to be steering Jose and keeping Jose away from the mainland of the U.S. However, some of the Leeward Islands certainly feeling the impacts from Jose, a hurricane warning. They are in effect right now, so those places that have already just been absolutely battered by Irma are feeling some of the outer effects of Jose, but that will not be bothering us. Our main focus right now is on Jose, as should yours be. You could see here, you can see the center of circulation riding right along the coast of Cuba. I think that there's going to be quite a bit of devastating video coming out of Cuba when we start to see things moving on and we get to get a look at what Cuba's looking like after being impacted by Irma like this. So you can see the rain bands spreading out into our state. So far, Miami-Dade County has seen the worst of it, spreading over into the Collier and Hendry counties as well. Let's take it county by county for our area so you'll know exactly where we're seeing rain here locally, because we are being impacted by those breezy winds and those bands with rain and lightning right now, and that intensity is going to continue to pick up as we head through the next several hours. So you see it here. Indian River County, you have rain all along the coast from Sebastian through Florida Ridge. Indian River Shores, you've got a bit of a thunderstorm affecting you right now with showers farther inland. Heading south into St. Lucie County, heavy rain just moved through Lakewood Park. You can see 95 in the Turnpike going to be wet, and it is breezy, so we're going to have the effects of blowing rain as well, which is going to make it a bit harder to see. Some of those winds are going to be very gusty already. We have a thunderstorm just over Okeechobee, rain moving through Okeechobee County right now. now. Martin County, you're not seeing quite as much action. You've got a bit of shower activity getting ready to move over Lake O. You see that, but right now you're getting a bit of a break. And same thing for most of Palm Beach County. So that band through the northern portions of our community right now, but there's more not far behind, not far from that came from. We've already seen tornado warnings for Miami-Dade, Collier. I think Hendry may have seen a tornado warning.
Да, ребята, я пытаюсь настроить чат, я думаю, я вижу, что вы мне пишете.
A lot of times when you're in the northeastern quadrant of a hurricane, those warnings are popping up quickly and allowed to be expired. Typically, it's a week, short-lived tornado, but they can still do some damage. And we will be in the northeastern quadrant of this storm, most likely, so that is where you do see the best chance for seeing some hurricanes. So we've got another band that's getting ready to move toward Miami-Dade County. They've already just been battered. The Keys also being battered, and the storm is still around 200 miles from Miami, nearly 300 miles from us in Palm Beach County. So we're already feeling the effects. So just imagine what it's going to be like as the storm is, 150, 50, right off the western coast or wherever it actually ends up tracking. We're just going to continue to see our impacts increase. So the Storm Prediction Center does have our area under a slight risk for severe storms. They did mention briefly they may consider a tornado watch for our area because, as I mentioned, we're starting to see those tornado warnings pop up. They're quick, they're short-lived, but they're still tornadoes and they're still tornado warnings. So right now a slight risk for severe weather, but as I mentioned, a tornado watch could be issued. Let's take a look at that forecast cone now. Hurricane Irma, the 8 a.m. We're still waiting for the 11 a.m. to come out. It might update before I'm off air, but if it doesn't, we'll get on there as soon as it does. So here we have Irma, winds at 130 miles per hour, going to eventually take that turn to the northwest and start to move away from Cuba. And when it does, that will allow it to re-strengthen and the winds to pick back up to strong Category 4 status because, as I mentioned, as of the 8 a.m. update, it was barely holding on to that Category 4 status. Early Sunday morning, moving over the Florida Straits, warm water, extremely warm water there. So we're expecting the strengthening to take place as it moves over the open water and from Cuba. The current forecast has a landfall somewhere in the Keys, very likely as a Category 4 hurricane. I know mandatory evacuations were going on there, and that was a good idea because it could be bad for that area. Let's talk about what's going to happen as Irma continues to move north. So this is Sunday at 2 p.m. moving toward Fort Myers. We're talking storm surge could be a really big issue for the west coast of the state, especially places like Fort Myers, Category 4 hurricane in the northeastern quadrant. So Sunday is certainly going to be the peak day, especially Sunday afternoon and evening, Sunday night into early Monday for our area. Now I want to point something out to you. We still have a portion of Okeechobee County and a portion, inland portion of Palm Beach County. So maybe you're shrugging your shoulders and you're saying, what's up? We can go back home. We're all out of the cone. We're not quite out of the impacts yet, and we won't be out of the impacts. This is what the cone represents. The center could track anywhere in this cone if it happens to turn north a little bit sooner and travel a bit farther to the east. And you all know this cone can shift because just yesterday it was along the east coast. So if it travels a little bit more to the east, that would put our area more in a better chance of seeing more intense impacts. Travels farther to the west, possibly through the Gulf, that would mean fewer or less intense impacts for our area. So right now we're all waiting to see when Irma moves away from Cuba and makes that turn to the north. So this is Monday at 2 a.m., very early Monday morning around the Tampa area, still as a major Category 3 hurricane, starting to feel the effects in places like Orlando, Central Florida. Moving into Georgia, places like Valdosta, Albany, seeing some effects from a major Category 3 hurricane, and then downgrading to a tropical storm Tuesday and into the later parts of the week as it kind of hangs around in the center part of the country. Places like Memphis and Huntsville feeling some of those effects as well. The spaghetti models, as of the last run, you see it here, have shifted a bit farther west. Once again, that seems to be the trend recently. More of them are off in the Gulf now and just skimming the very west coast of the state. So we'll have to see if that continues to be the trend, which it has been for the past 12 hours or so, once Irma actually moves off of Cuba. So let's talk about the impact weather. Wind is still going to be an extreme impact for our area, and here's why. Even if we only get tropical storm force winds, we're talking winds 39 to 73 miles per hour,
что у нас еще
we're
есть
talking hours of that,
на данный
hours
момент.
and hours of tropical storm.
Так, ну это такая же картинка. Две камеры закрыто, одна открыта. Вот ездит полиция, контролирует ситуацию. Ветер видно, что усилился, да. Здесь на этой картинке не совсем точно показано движение урагана. Он, скорее всего, уже где-то здесь. Вот, включилась еще одна картинка. Веб-камера. Так, посмотрим, давайте еще, что у нас есть. Здесь также внутренние, видите, чьи-то апартмент, камера стоит, да, видно ветер, дождь. Так, смотрим, что еще есть у нас из камер. Да, ветер усилился. Идет дождь, ветер усилился. Море неспокойное, конечно. Так, что у нас еще из камер? Да, вот у нас еще одна камера. Это в другой части, скорее всего, не здесь, в другой части. Потому что здесь не наблюдается такого. Есть ветер, но не такой, как там, вот на предыдущей веб-камере. Так, смотрим, что у нас еще где есть. Майами, пляж. Как мы видим, тут волны, да, тут ветер сильный. Ребята, пишите комментарии, все пишите в чате, я открою чат, я посмотрю. Задавайте вопросы. Так, переходим, смотрим, что у нас еще есть. У нас есть еще вот эта камера. Смотрим, что здесь ветер, идет дождь. Даже слышно, как ветер как усиливается. Как мы слышим, ветер то усиливается, то нет. Дождь тоже не сильный. Так, посмотрим, что у нас дальше. Послушаем немножко в новостях, что у нас.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to talk about this. We have seen, of course, the slight tick to the west, but West Palm Beach still will be facing, possible hurricane force winds, definitely tropical storm force winds. Speaking first about the curfew, do you still see that ending citywide today, or what is the status on that?
Oh, it's never ending today. It started today, curfew is still in place, and it will stay in place until the storm is gone and people are safe to go out.
And do you feel that people who you've seen, I know you are doing your best to get this message out, as we are, do you feel people are heeding the warnings? Are you confident in that?
Well, I was out this morning in my official car that I'm getting to use, and I did not see very many people out at all. I saw a couple of cars here and there. We're getting a lot of phone calls here in our call center about whether people should be out, whether they can walk or ride a bike. The thing is that you should not be outside. We're starting to get feeder bands up here with some gusts of wind. We want people to be safe. And
And it's just not safe if you're outside on the road or walking around.
We heard the Palm Beach County State Attorney Dave Ehrenberg say yesterday, I mean, they would go as far as if they see people breaking that curfew, that they would be under arrest. Is that something you support and stand behind as well?
You know, our bottom line is keeping people safe. We set our curfew at 8 a.m. this morning, starting 8 a.m. this morning. The counties, it starts at 3. We will strictly enforce the curfew after 3 o'clock. We want to, and we'll do that. We'll make sure that people get off the street. That's our goal. Our goal is not to be arresting a whole bunch of people. Our goal is to make sure people are not on the street.
And again, we should remind people in West Palm Beach is one of those cities, the mobile homes, the low-lying areas, those,
right.
You know, talk to us a little bit about your concern for those people.
If you live in a mobile home, you should have already evacuated. That is Zone A. We are still going to get winds, probably Category 1 hurricane force winds. That's nothing to sneeze at, you know. We're talking about pretty strong winds, and we're still going to have storm surge. So people don't let your guard down just because it's gone west a little bit.
Now, since, you know, taking a look at that track, we had you in studio yesterday. Has anything changed since then as far as plans for the city? Have you kind of modified anything whatsoever?
We have not. We're continuing to move
Ребята,
forward.
подписывайтесь на наш канал на YouTube. Элизабет Орловский. Ставим лайки.
We planned our work and we're working our plan and we're keeping up. We had a meeting this morning where all of our top people were here giving updates on each of their areas of responsibility. We have another update with our top folks at 11. We'll be meeting again at 6 and making sure that everything's moving smoothly.
It is, I mean, I know that all the communities, you talk to the surrounding and neighboring communities as well. Law enforcement will do that, you know, they're for various reasons. Are you hearing anything from other community leaders in surrounding areas trying to coordinate efforts?
Well, we have a daily call at 10 o'clock that the county hosts with all of the municipalities in Palm Beach County. I just got off that call. It seems like everybody right now is waiting for the hurricane. Preparations have been going on for a couple of days, and there were very few questions at the last 10 o'clock briefing.
Mayor Jerry Moyo joining us from West Palm Beach, and just thanks for taking time out. Anything else you'd like to add to the residents of West Palm?
Just really be safe and don't get complacent just because it's gone to the west. It could turn back. We just don't know.
Right. Thank you so much, and we will be in touch with you, and we'll pass along those messages, of course, to our viewers here on WPTV News Channel 5.
Yeah, maybe you're just joining us 10:38 right now, and we'll be right back.
Так, сейчас посмотрим, давайте, что у нас еще по веб-камерам. Так, вот мы видим еще одну веб-камеру. Тоже видно, ну, видите, она... вот она открылась лучше. Или она передвигается автоматически. Это яхт-клуб, видимо. Ветер есть. Дождя сильного нету пока. Вот эта же камера открылась. Апартмент чьи-то дома. Так. Смотрим дальше, что у нас есть из камер. Наблюдаем ветер и волны. Ребята, делитесь трансляцией, комментируйте. Я все потом прочитаю, все сообщения. Ребята, спасибо за лайки. Все, вижу лайки. Спасибо, кто смотрит. Давайте посмотрим, что по новостям у нас. Это, видимо, говорят про зоопарк, который находится в Флориде или Майами. Идет дождь.
You can watch all the things Lion Country Safari does to keep their animals and people safe as well. You can go to WPTV Facebook page. I know you joined TA this morning for a Facebook Live talking about maybe that and other things as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, talking about everybody's neighborhood and how we've seen people already coming together to support each other from out of town, an elderly neighbor down the street who might be alone. It's a really great time to talk to your neighbors, meet them for the first time, see if people need help. We are in this together. We're all residents of Florida. We love our home. We want everyone to be safe, everyone.
A lot of those people that are needing help right now are in mobile home parks. Soon we'll check in with Tori Dunn, and she's talking to people who are choosing to evacuate ahead of these winds that we're going to face.
And it is 10:43 now, but the Coast Guard has now suspended a search for a missing surfer in Boca Raton. And this surfer was reported missing yesterday evening. The Coast Guard says the search was taking place near the inlet. Of course, if we hear anything more on this particular story, we will let you know. I know the law enforcement officers are very busy in all kinds of capacities. This was another added thing that they were dealing with today.
And outstanding work the Coast Guard does, as we know, we saw it in Harvey and now, you know, preparing for Irma. The Coast Guard did just announce, though, that it's closing its ports in Tampa, St. Petersburg, and Manatee. That means inbound and outbound traffic cannot get out. No water vessels being allowed to enter either. They also say drawbridges are going to stay closed once those strong winds start making their way in. They will not reopen until bridge crews are able to return after the storm to open up those bridges.
And we'd seen, just as we'd seen the traffic on the roadways, we'd seen boats lined up to get places, you know, like a traffic jam.
And the locks going out that way. All right, so we talked about the mobile home parks. People are evacuating right now in suburban West Palm Beach.
I want to get to WPTV News Channel 5's Tori Dunnan live right now in a mobile home park. What are you seeing there? Where are you?
So we are off of Belvedere at the Oakland Mobile Home Park. We just stumbled upon this as we were headed out to Wellington. This is one big family here, and they're all in the process of doing these last-minute preparations. You can see over there, they're kind of running around doing all this, putting up plywood, getting rid of any loose debris on the front yard. They've been actually helping other families get out. See the guy in the yellow shirt? I'm told that he's been helping a ton of people in the area get out, those who are having trouble, and now he's getting his family secured. A lot of kids here as well, so I'm going to talk to you real quick. Where are you guys headed?
We're just headed to a safer house, concrete, right down the road.
How many kids are you guys evacuating here?
4 little ones, and then my mom's big kids. So there's a total of 12 of us, I think. 10 of us.
How are you guys feeling about everything? Is there anxiety or a sense of calm, or what's?
We're a little bit better now that the storm has gone a lot more to the west. But yesterday, before it took its turn, we were prepared for the worst. We have a storage. We put all of our belongings, like pictures and everything, in the storage. So that way, if anything happened, we had something.
But you're still deciding to get out, even though you feel a little bit more comfortable with the track because you can't be complacent, kind of thing?
Yeah, definitely. Even though the track, it can turn. We had that hurricane in 2004 or 5, whichever one, and it turned. And we're just not ready to take any chances. We still removed the rest of our stuff today out. And we're just going to go from there, and hopefully everything works out.
Can I talk to you real quick? So you told me that you've actually stayed here before for storms, and you're not going to do it again because of what happened last time.
Yeah, we got stuck here once. I can't remember how many years ago, but I guess it wasn't supposed to come, and then it came at the last minute, and then we were stuck inside. My son was really little. He was having asthma attacks all night because it was so hot in the house, and I would never stay in a mobile home ever again.
You said the front door flew off.
Yeah, we didn't know the storm was coming, so we ordered pizza for dinner, and when they were just coming to deliver the pizza, I went to open the door, and a gust of wind came, and it ripped it off the front, the storm door off the front. It ripped it right off.
I have to imagine with kids, something like that is so scary. So is that why you're getting out? You don't want to go through something like that with the kids here?
I would have left anyways if I knew it was going to be that bad at that point. I would never risk my life to stay in a home and that wasn't safe. Any home.
Okay, thanks so much. All right, so as you can see here, this family is busy doing the last-minute preparations, getting the boards on the windows. One of the little girls actually said to me, "We have to leave because my house is going to blow away." And I said, you know, let's just hope for the best here. And I think that's the feeling of trying to keep families calm, keep the little ones calm, but also keep them safe at the same time. We'll send it back to you.
That was powerful to hear.
Yeah, and first of all, kudos to those guys that jumped in to help and are putting up that plywood, because, you know, we could tell you so many times to get prepared ahead of time, but obviously you don't want to wait till this last minute, especially in a mobile home. But when guys jump in like that, your neighbors...
And it is hard. It is hard to leave your home. This is the place you've chosen to make your life and have your memories, and it's really difficult to walk away from that. So we are so proud of the people who are listening to the warnings and doing what they're being told to do to keep themselves and their family members safe. We're just so proud of you. I know it's hard.
Glenn, as we bring you in for this report, as we are still waiting for that 11 o'clock track, we need to remind people that just because you might not see a direct hit, the eye moving right over West Palm Beach or suburban West Palm Beach where that family just was, we are still going to see some big-time winds.
Yeah, and here's what's interesting about the difference between the track and some of the other data that we're getting
Так, вот
is
сейчас в
even though
новостях,
the
что он
track
нам
has
скажет
shifted to the
нового.
west, and it's possible that when the 11 a.m. update comes out, there will even be more of a shift to the west. The computer models continue to trend a little more westerly. The amount of rainfall we could receive and the types of winds that we can see in our area haven't changed that much. We still have the potential for hurricane-force gusts and very strong tropical storm winds for a very, very long period of time here. Through tonight, through tomorrow, into Monday morning, that's possible. Look, the storm is so massive. Even if the center of it's on the west coast of Florida, we're still getting an impact on the east coast of Florida. Here's a look at the warnings that are in place. Obviously, we're still under the hurricane warning for our entire viewing area. Storm surge warning as well. Computer models showing you that track continues to trend a little more westerly. Even the American model now bending back around. It had a little more of a curve inland earlier, but starting to turn back over toward the west coast here. But remember that it's only about roughly 130 miles across for Florida, and tropical storm force winds extend out 195 miles from the center of the storm. So even if it's over here pinned to the west coast, there's still tropical storm force winds that stretch all the way across Florida. Not to mention the fact that we've seen a lot of rotation in some of these rain bands coming in, and the Weather Service has already had to issue a few tornado warnings for Miami-Dade and for Collier County, a little bit in Hendry County too. So this is still the 8 a.m. update, but the way our computer system works is when the 11 a.m. comes in, it instantly updates, and then we'll get to see the latest track, which again, I'm assuming might be a little bit more to the west, because the computer models are trending that way, but also because Irma appears to be kind of stuck here on the northern coast of Cuba for a little longer than expected. Some of the earlier models had it sort of just bouncing off the outer islands of Cuba there and then heading up to the north, and that trend had it much closer to our viewing area in the cone. Then slowly as it started to make a little more contact with Cuba here, and it seems to be dragging along in that high pressure off to the northeast that's been steering Irma for most of its life, continues to stay fairly strong, and so it has not been able to push up to the north just yet. Now the 8 a.m. and more so the 5 a.m. cone here, which was only tweaked a little bit at 8 a.m., still has it moving off the coast as we get into later today. In fact, in the next few hours, has it starting to move a little more northwesterly. So we'll see if we see, instead of a due west at 12 miles per hour, if we start to see a northwest motion here for the 11 a.m. update. But as we get into tomorrow, still in the morning hours, a Category 4 storm possibly moving up toward Key West. Now, it's possible that when this 11 a.m. update comes out, because of the amount of time Irma has been stuck down along the coast here, it may have weakened to a Category 3 storm. So that would change a few things too. But there's a big question mark here as to what happens right in here between Cuba and mainland Florida, because in this little slot right here, there's a lot of warm water. And a lot of storms tend to intensify as they move up in this area here. So even if it comes off the coast of Cuba, as a 3, or even a weaker Category 4, it still has some time to intensify here because it's going to be moving a little slower as it heads up toward Key West or the Florida Straits and eventually up toward the west coast of Florida. And still the cone as of 8 a.m. and as of 5 a.m. was still stretching out to the east quite a bit here, with a few computer models still trending to the east. But the official track more over on the to the west coast of Florida here, and even some models extending out into the Gulf of Mexico. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of update comes out at 11 a.m. But even if the storm ends up here, we're still going to see a rough couple of days here as the storm moves from south to north because the storm is so big. And if the storm ends up over here, closer to Lake Okeechobee, it's a whole new ball game for us with a lot more hurricane force winds spreading across our area. So there's still a few things that can happen. We're just waiting to see when the storm moves away from Cuba. We're going to see when it starts to make that turn to the north, and we're going to see if it intensifies as it makes its way up between Cuba and mainland Florida. So here's a look at the track after that, which moves pretty fast up to the north here. And I know it said 3 there, but most likely by then it'll be a Category 1 or even a tropical storm moving up through Georgia and eventually curving over to the northwest here. And here's where it kind of dies, right up here in Kentucky and Tennessee, as it starts to fall apart. So you guys need to move on to, okay, we'll be back with more weather and probably the 11 a.m. update coming out in just a moment here, guys.
Так, посмотрим. Да, ну, она комментирует те сообщения, которые приходят на Twitter.
Once it passes, contact your airliner for the latest information in terms of when those flights will resume. So it's the airline that's going to be kind of your point of contact here. In fact, let me shrink this just a little bit. We're getting the same message from Palm Beach International. So you definitely want to contact the airline for the status questions that you have on your flights. But look at these airports today. I mean, this is just so rare. We don't see this often, and this is Miami International, so a huge hub, a huge airport. Again, contact your airliner to find out when those flights will.
Аэропорт закрытый. Так, вот так сейчас нам показывают еще раз пляж. Веб-камера. Так, окей. Давайте глянем, какие у нас тут еще на веб-камерах есть картинки. Так. Но здесь не особенно дождь, ветер не сильный. Давайте глянем, так, еще посмотрим, что у нас есть. Так, вот здесь нам сделали другую картинку уже. Вот. Так, здесь у нас даже солнце немножко вышло. Ветер. Дождя нет сильного. Ребята, делитесь трансляцией, подписывайтесь на наш канал, ставьте лайки, будет много интересного. Слышно, как ветер, да. То усиливается, то нет. Так, смотрим, что у нас по новостям. Значит, по новостям у нас
westerly motion, as a lot of the computer models predicted. It predicted it moving off of Cuba rather quickly, and instead.
Вот наши 4 те камеры, которые. Так, смотрим, что у нас тут. Так, еще раз говорю, что вот здесь, вот скорее всего, не совсем точно идет геолокация, где находится ураган, потому что это уже где-то здесь, вот, где стрелка показывает. Так, тут периодически включаются-выключаются эти камеры. Так, что у нас еще есть? Также напомню, ребята, во вторник, на следующей неделе, это 11 число, будет презентация нового айфона 8. Будем также смотреть в прямом эфире. Ребята, также заходите на предыдущие видео. Там есть пару стримов, обзор, как мы жарим картошку, как мы готовим бургер. Вот. Ну и также смотрите предыдущие видео о путешествиях, о поездках. Так, смотрим, что у нас по новостям.
For Wilma, we were down for 17 days because virtually the entire system was the exception of the tracks, and some of the tracks were destroyed. So it took a long time to get the whole system back up and running because the impact was along the whole system, not in past hurricanes where it's been segmented. So that a lot of our recovery will depend on that, to the amount of damage to the tracks and to the corridor.
Arnold joining us from Tri-Rail on the phone. First of all, Bonnie, thank you for taking time out of your schedule on a Saturday for this. Now, as we're taking a live look at the radar while you're joining us on the phone, we can see those rain bands pummeling parts of South Florida, especially the Miami area. Knowing Tri-Rail travels southbound from our area, the Palm Beaches and Treasure Coast, what's the plan of action to kind of monitor? What type of ways do you have to monitor things during the storm, and how far south are you looking right now?
Well, we do belong to a weather monitoring service that gives us regular updates. We monitor it through senior staff calls, both with our team and with our team of contractors who maintain the corridor, who run the trains, who maintain the trains, maintain the stations. So it's an ongoing process during the entire event.
Can you give us... sorry.
Sure.
Go
ahead.
No, you finish what you were saying. I apologize.
You know, it's an ongoing process that starts when the need is determined and continues throughout the event and then through the aftermath and the recovery period.
Can you give us an idea of scale with Tri-Rail? How many people use this service and how many miles are we talking here? Because we know people are getting off and on those trains trying to get everywhere, you know, they don't have other forms of transportation. Talk to us about the scale.
Sure. We carry more than 15,000 passengers a day now. And it's a whole mix of professionals, service workers, students. We carry almost 1,000 students every day to the Dreyfus School of the Arts, the Box Middle School of the Arts, the Roosevelt Technical School. So it's a mix of passengers, many of whom are unfortunately totally dependent upon Tri-Rail to get to work, to get to school, to get to the doctor's office. And we take that very seriously when it comes to when are we going to restore service.
Да, ребята, я хочу вам сказать, я вижу ваш чат. Здравствуйте.
We always act prudently.
Одну секундочку. Я вижу, да, активность в чате. Давайте немножко сейчас сделаем вопрос-ответ.
Friday, when do you make the call for Monday? What do you need to see to make that call to shut it down Monday as well?
We'll have to do a complete assessment of the corridor, which can't happen until the winds have subsided and the rain. You know, they're talking about tropical storm, at least category winds on Monday, if not higher. So I'm not sure that we'll even be able to begin our assessment on Monday until those storms and those winds and those rains pass.
Okay. Bonnie Arnold, we do appreciate your time with Tri-Rail. We will certainly continue to be in touch with you.
Так, некоторые спрашивают, во сколько будет шоу. Ребята, тут шоу будет, как вам сказать, ну, смотрите, это не совсем шоу, потому что для людей это действительно стресс, потому что они побросали все свои квартиры, уехали. Ну, вообще, с субботы на воскресенье в ночь И завтра продолжится. Ребята, пишите в чате, я уже активно могу с вами общаться в чате. Задавайте вопросы.
Actually, Mike, we are right in the middle of things. We are getting information as soon as it comes out. I actually have some new information regarding Palm Beach County shelters. 4 shelters are now at capacity. That means they are full. That is Seminole Ridge High School,
Ребята, пишите в чате, потому что много задают вопросы. Я пытаюсь тут
Elementary,
ответить на
and
всех, потому
Independence
что
Middle.
буквально
If you
настроился
don't
сейчас.
know that they are full and you are driving there, Seminole Ridge and Forest Hill are diverting to Park Vista in Boynton and Palm Beach Central. Forgive me, I want to be able to look at my notes and give you information exactly as it is. The largest shelter is Atlantic High School in Delray Beach. They can fit close to 6,000 people. They currently only have 1,380 people in there right now. Now, what you're looking at right now is the center of it all. It's the operations center where officials from across the county, police, fire, emergency management, are getting their information as it comes in, are looking at the forecasts and making those decisions. Now, again, they are saying they expect conditions to deteriorate. So if you are in a shelter, don't leave. They have reports of people asking if they can leave the shelters. They recommend don't do that. If you go to a shelter and then you leave, you're going to have to re-sign in, and if that shelter becomes full, you're going to have to go somewhere else. They currently have about 31,726 spots still left in Palm Beach County shelters. The biggest shelter is Atlantic High School in Delray Beach. Bring your own bedding. They say they don't have enough for everyone. And they also say that the curfew starts at 3 p.m., but anyone making their way to a shelter, that is a valid reason to be out at that time. So they are welcoming you at any times. And we were just told by emergency management officials, in fact, that they are going to have a live press conference at 12:30. We will, of course, carry that on WPTV.com. They'll have more information for us then. But for now, reporting live, Sam Smink, WPTV, News Channel 5.
Well, we, again, just a few minutes ago, received a whole new update from the National Hurricane Center on Hurricane Irma.
And Glenn, as we bring you in, we are getting closer to U.S. landfall.
We are, and also in the discussion, I was just reading through the National Hurricane discussion, they noted that because Irma is now within the scope of the Key West radar, they're going to start doing hourly updates on
Так, Ирма Ураган уже прошла Доминикана, но это еще было так, почти Кубу прошла.
As usual at 5 p.m., 11 p.m., 5 a.m., 11 a.m., but they're also going to start doing hourly updates as Irma continues to move closer and closer to the United States. Just talking about where it's positioned now, its forward speed, its intensification, as it is expected to do as it moves up through this little channel here between Cuba and South Florida. So here's a look at the latest from the Hurricane Center. Winds at 125, moving west at 9 miles per hour. This is much longer moving west than expected in the previous computer model runs. It was expected at this point to already be heading to the northwest, and it is still expected to do that later on today. And then moving up toward Key West as a major hurricane, a Category 4 hurricane, and then quite possibly making landfall along the west coast of Florida, maybe near Fort Myers, heading up toward Tampa, St. Pete, and eventually off to the north here. And let me go back one more time, and we'll start from the beginning. I just want to show you again, there's so little room in either side of the cone here, and even when it gets up close to our area, most of our viewing area outside the cone, but
Ребята, давайте глянем, что у нас еще по трансляциям, по прямым трансляциям. Так, вот мы видим набережную. Тут есть вопрос от Мэри ТВ. Если из-за урагана уничтожится дом, что государство будет давать как бы новый дом? Я думаю, нет. У них платится страховка каждый год около $2000, наверное, смотря в зависимости от дома, какой дом. Выплачивают страховку. В случае разрушения человек получит страховку. Но на улице он не останется. С какой скоростью движется глаз вихря, неизвестно. Вот они вот передают в новостях. Мы будем так периодически включаться, смотреть. Ребята, пишите комментарии. Я уже вижу ваши вопросики, так что будем общаться в чате. Ребята, делитесь также трансляцией. Давайте соберем народа. Будем общаться. Мэри, очень приятно, что вы нас смотрите. Вано Танк тоже. Всем спасибо, что пишете, задаете тут вопросики. Будем общаться. Мы заодно смотрим трансляцию. Так, значит, у нас что на данный момент? Ветер, дождя нету. Но ветер сильный, достаточно сильный. И это он усиливается. Видно, что усиливается ветер. Да, это я вам написал. Привет, я в чате. Ну, Мэри, я отвечаю на ваш вопрос. Значит, так, ну как у людей, да, несмотря какие будут разрушения, если будут разрушения, как людям потом все восстанавливать, да. Ну как никто не знает, что ураган? Знают, я уверен, что знают. Во-первых, много эвакуировалось людей. Знают. Ну, да, многие, конечно, не смотрят новости, но, опять же, повторюсь, есть же интернет, радио, то есть все равно не знает кто живет там, во Флориде, в Майами, там точно знают, которые живут уже на других континентах, многие, конечно, и не знают даже. Мэри, очень приятно, что вы смотрите нашу трансляцию. Спасибо вам. Подписывайтесь на наш канал. Если вы только пришли или вы уже давно как бы нас смотрите, не знаю. Так, всем привет, да. Не понял совсем постановку. Я так переживаю за тех людей, которые там остались. Вы переживаете за тех людей, которые там остались? Как формируется вопрос? Я думаю, те люди, которые там остались, как бы, ну, они не находятся прямо в этой части. Во-первых, всех, кто остался, предупреждают, чтобы они там не слонялись по набережной, как вон там вот есть некоторые, вон там ходят. Но предупреждение, как бы, я думаю, серьезные очень для тех, кто там живут. Пожалуйста, да, пожалуйста, за информацию. Я именно хочу, чтобы у нас вот такая приятная трансляция была прямая. Я не вещаю именно как бы, ну, смотрите, просто канал один информационные там новости, которые сейчас вот идут. А именно хочу преподнести вам приятно, чтобы мы вместе все смотрели и новости, и веб-камеры. Давайте пишите в чате активнее. Ребята, еще раз, кто, может быть, зашел только что на трансляцию, вот, хочу сделать такую информацию для тех, кто ждал. То, что была обещана трансляция про косметику, но, смотрите, не получилось у нас сделать эту трансляцию. Мы ее перенесли на следующую неделю, но, скорее всего, на следующие выходные. Вот, потому что у нас будет трансляция с презентацией Apple, так что тоже приходите, сделаем такую домашнюю уютную обстановочку и будем вместе смотреть презентацию Apple. Это будет, скорее всего, по московскому времени 11 числа, это 12 числа, это во вторник. Я ошибся, 12 числа, да. 12 числа во вторник, но по московскому времени часов 7, наверное. YouTube сближает, да, YouTube сближает, точно. Восьмой iPhone, это круто, да. Нам обещают интересные там сладости, которые будут на презентации и самого телефона, и еще всякие вкусняшки должны быть. Ребятки, еще раз повторюсь, я настроил чат, так что я в чате с вами общаюсь, и мы смотрим с вами прямую трансляцию. Так, что еще? Давайте глянем, что у нас еще по новостям. Еще раз скажу, кто так понимает английский язык, пожалуйста. Слушайте. Хотите, можем сделать немножко паузу, отдохнем и вернемся потом опять к трансляции про ураган ИРМА. Напишите в чате или продолжаем.
changed my personal story through this hurricane, and so thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Just like that, he helps everybody. His name's Don, and he helps everybody up and down the road.
The Dons and the ties of the world, we thank you. Okay.
So if you have a tie in your neighborhood, share your pictures with us on our WPTV Facebook page. We'll try to show them and just the everyday heroes that are helping people out, especially people that.
Дмитрий Романов, да, привет. Ты пишешь, что сестра у тебя сейчас в Майами, значит, дом на берегу, да? Да, это, конечно, не слабо. Будь с ней на связи, если там возможно. Так, что-то нам такое уже показывают. А, на Кубе, ребята. Смотрите, что на Кубе было.
Big pieces of that roof just flew off. I watched a couple of his live shots. I mean, they're just getting pummeled, absolutely pummeled in that area. So, kudos. We always recommend to be safe, but you'll see those reporters.
It's a reminder that we will show you the images. We do not want you out there during the weather, because we don't want you in danger, and our law enforcement agencies cannot respond to you past a certain speed of wind, so they cannot leave.
Во-первых, ребята, у кого знакомые живут там, действительно поддерживайте их.
From right on your television or your mobile phone or whatever it is.
Которые там сейчас находятся в данный момент.
And now we want to show you
Поддерживайте
this
с
is
ними
what people in
связь.
St. Martin
Им это
have been
действительно
dealing
нужно.
with right now. This is across the island, scenes of devastation like this, washed up boats, destroyed buildings, debris everywhere. People who have lived there for decades say they've never experienced a hurricane like Irma before. And shortly from now, a curfew will go into effect for Deerfield Beach and the town of Hillsborough Beach. And the curfew will start at 12 o'clock this afternoon. It will remain until modified or canceled. You will only be allowed into your home with a proof of residency and a photo ID there. The road closures include South A1A at the Hillsborough Inlet Bridge, all eastbound lanes, and the west side of the Hillsborough Inlet. If you violate the curfew, police are warning you will be arrested. We are hearing similar things here, that it is at the discretion of law enforcement officers if they feel they need to take somebody to jail. The state attorney, Dave Ehrenberg, said they can put somebody in jail for violating curfew or being disruptive in a situation. So it's their discretion.
For sure, and zero tolerance for looting or going into any business that had to get out of town. We heard even Sheriff Snyder in Martin County say that as well. So just let's keep it safe, folks. And how about this? 460 inmates from the Monroe County Jail on Stock Island were moved to Palm Beach County ahead of Hurricane Irma. Monroe County Sheriff Rick Ramsey made the decision.
Да, против стихии человек бессилен, это действительно так. Потому что природа сейчас стала бешеная. Неизвестно, что может быть завтра. Во-первых, еще, может быть, в какой-то степени повлияло солнечное затмение, которое было вот недавно. И вспышки на солнце. Может, это тоже повлияло на ураган?
And WPTV News Channel 5's Alyssa Hyman is live with what people are saying about this shift to a voluntary evacuation. What are you hearing from folks, Alyssa?
Это волонтеры, которые работают сейчас в данный момент. Очень много людей, которые добровольно работают в помощи.
A lot of this is what we're seeing, people tying down, strapping down their golf carts, some of their furniture, obviously shuttered up, boarded up. If you follow me this way, and again, this is just a look at one of the neighborhoods. The reason this neighborhood is in this mandatory evacuation zone, however, now volunteers, they have water on both sides. This is a neighborhood that is prone to flooding, and because of that, take a look at this neighbor's car.
Лифт интернет пока есть. То есть сейчас все работает, да, у них. Потому что многие тоже есть, которые оттуда блогеры транслируют тоже. Значит, есть интернет. Да. Ну, также телевидение тоже.
Is so vulnerable to storms. This is just some of the water. This goes out to the Indian River Lagoon, the ocean on the other side, and then
some more of the precautions that people are taking. This neighbor has basically strapped down his boat dock. This neighbor over here removed the boards to the boat dock. This obviously hurricane glass. And then we did speak to this family making that crucial decision this morning and actually deciding to stay.
Up until 6 o'clock this morning, we were gone. We already had everything ready to go in the car, and we were going to leave. We know we can go to Jensen Beach High School. We know we have friends in town. If we have to leave, we can. So we'll watch the storm. If it starts to come back, we'll get out. Other than that, we're planning on staying here.
A lot of his neighbors, though, still making that decision at this point. Many of them already gone, have already left this neighborhood. I can tell you one interesting fact. Even though we are in St. Lucie County, this particular neighborhood actually gets their water from Martin County. Martin County saying that they're going to turn off the water. So many of them making that decision based on whether or not they'll have water for the duration of this storm over the next few days. So that's an important decision they're having to make. The weather right now, obviously very breezy. We've seen some rain this morning, nothing right now. And of course, just very overcast. That is the very latest. We are live in St. Lucie County. Alyssa Hyman, WPTV News Channel 5.
Thank you, Alyssa. And Hurricane Irma, just like every storm this year, has had technology better for forecasting and also showing you the storm than we've ever had, of course. And that includes this.
Yeah, these are such shareable moments on social media when we get these pictures in from NASA.
Так, нам показывают снимки из космоса. Нам предоставило это НАСА, космическое агентство. Вот они показывают само яблочко, видите, как обстоят дела. Так, вообще, видите, на снимках показано 3 урагана.
The lights of the cities lit up in the United States of America. You see Florida there, and there is Irma.
So yeah, in the
middle, at its doorstep.
In the middle, Irma, right there.
At our doorstep.
Felicia said she measured it from.
Предыдущая цивилизация была посильнее. Да, может быть, может быть.
Wow.
We'll see if it shrinks. We'll see if it gets bigger. We'll see where the path is, and much more coming up right now at 11:29.
Когда ураган подойдет, электричество выключат. Ну, там, во-первых, еще есть такое, что генераторы, люди устанавливают генераторы, значит, в случае, если электричества не будет, чтобы автономно работать. Чтобы короткого замыкания не было. Да, это скорее всего да, потому что при таком сильном ветре и дождь где-то замыкает, где-то может быть обрыв проводов. Это да, это серьезно может быть. Скорее всего да, электричество отключится. Так, что у нас тут на веб-камере? Веб-камера, набережные волны, ветер. Ребята, напишите в чате, как вы хотите, чтобы мы продолжали трансляцию, или сделаем потом перерыв и продолжим, вернемся опять, как захотите. Да, понятно. У многих, да, генераторы стоят в доме. Да. Да, цунами, да. Не дай бог, конечно. При огромном сильном ветре цунами. Даже вообще трудно сказать, трудно сказать ход событий, который будет. Так, смотрим, что у нас еще дальше. Что у нас еще дальше есть. Так, ну это Майами, тоже пляж. Мы видим волны. Так, вот это веб-камера. Вот как мы видим, видите, асфальт сам в некоторых местах сухой. То есть дождя нет такого. Ветер сильный. Ветер. Может быть, мелкий-мелкий дождь идет. Вот видно, люди ходят, вот. То есть сейчас особенно никого не сносит. В Мексике землетрясение 8 баллов, да, но это, скорее всего, при урагане, который там бушует. Цунами ожидают где? Да, действительно, и землетрясения, и цунами, и тут эти ураганы. Не слабый конец 17-го года. Некоторые пишут, не надо перерывов. Ну хорошо, будем стараться сделать такую трансляцию. Если вам нравится, ребята, будем продолжать пока. Да, землетрясение серьезное, да, 15 погибших. Гватемала, Сальвадор, Коста-Рика, да, Никарагуа. Ожидают цунами именно район Мексики, да. Да, не слабо. Мэри ТВ, спасибо за информацию. Так, я слышал, но от вас... так, говорят, так, смотрим дальше, да? Смотрим дальше, что передают новости. Так, мы гуляем с веб-камер на новости, ну...
אוספים כסף למתנה, מהיום עושים את זה בקלות, ובפעם, פפר פיי, גם
израильская реклама, так.
Rest of the weekend. Already quite breezy out there ahead of the storm, winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour, and these winds will increase as we head into tonight, and especially as we head into your Sunday. So as the day goes on, we'll move forward in time.
Это серьезно.
There's the clock right there. So Sunday, this is around 8:30 p.m. You can see, so by tomorrow evening, look at that, into Boca Raton. That is hurricane force winds, winds of 74 miles per hour along the coast, winds of around 50 to 60 miles per hour back across the lake, winds of around 60 miles per hour. Then the storm system continues to make its way northward. So you can see the center, the eye of the storm right there just in the north of Fort Myers, due west of us, and notice the winds. This is during the overnight hours tonight. So while we're sleeping, we're going to be dealing with those really strong winds with a lot of rain. Notice hurricane force winds along the coast, winds of 70 to roughly 75 miles per hour. Closer to the lake, since you're closer to that eye wall, your winds will be stronger, winds of roughly 90, maybe 100 miles per hour. And then we're going to start to weaken the winds as the storm pulls away from us. So by Monday afternoon, the storm is well north. But notice the winds still very blustery, anywhere from 30 to 40 to 50 miles per hour. So still tropical storm force winds as we head into your Monday. By Tuesday, the storm is long gone, things back to normal, winds at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. But this will also be a big rainmaker for us. So flooding will be a concern. By the time we get to Monday morning, we could have anywhere from 6 to 10 inches on the ground, maybe 15 inches in some isolated spots. So a good amount of rain coming down, and it's all going to happen within 24 hours. So that water is going to have a hard time getting soaked into the ground. So we will likely see flooding in places that have poor drainage and low-lying areas. That is a lot of rain in a short period of time. So your impact
лифтами при землетрясении, конечно, пользоваться нельзя. Вообще нужно при землетрясении, если ты уже находился в доме, стоять в таком месте, не где лестница, более такое защищенное, это такие конструкции, несущие в квартире, если есть. Или такие глухие места, закрытые, как там туалет, ванна. Но опять же, это все тоже в старых домах, это тоже как бы небезопасно. Сейчас в новых домах в Израиле делают бомбоубежища от падения ракет, бетонные комнаты.
So we'll see if they do issue that or not. Otherwise, we will see tornadoes from time to time as the rotator bands rotate around the center of the storm system. And again, we will see a lot of rain as well, so flooding could be a concern. Look at the storm surge. So from Fort Myers through Collier County into Monroe County, we are going to see just a massive storm surge, widespread flooding along the coast. So this is going to be a really just an awful situation for Southwestern and also for the lake as well. We could also be dealing with some storm surge. When the winds come in, it'll pile it up along here. So from Buckhead Ridge over towards Clewiston, in this general area, basically the wind will pick it up from Pahokee and then force it in this direction. So we could be dealing with some flooding also around the lake. All right, so into West Palm Beach. Let's talk about what we're expecting. Arrival time, tropical storm winds around 11 p.m. tonight. Peak strength anywhere from 8 p.m. to about 12 a.m. Sunday. Peak wind gusts about 74 miles per hour. Mostly tropical storm force winds, but we could have wind gusts up to hurricane potential and rainfall anywhere from about 10 to 15 inches of rain. For Port St. Lucie, tropical storm force winds around 7 a.m. And then as we head towards the peak strength will be from 11 o'clock to about 3 a.m. Sunday night. Peak wind gusts anywhere from 65 to 75 miles per hour. Total rainfall for you anywhere from about 8 to 12 inches of rain. Boca Raton, South County. Tropical storm force winds around 9 o'clock tonight. Peak strength from about 7 p.m. through 10 p.m. Sunday. Peak wind gusts, again, around 74 miles per hour or so. So those are hurricane force winds. Total rainfall anywhere from 12 to 17 inches of rain. And into Jupiter, arrival times looking like this. Tropical storm winds anywhere from about 2 a.m. Sunday morning, and then peak strength around 10 o'clock to 1 in the morning. And finally, peak gusts for you, 74 miles per hour. Rainfall, also a good amount of rain, anywhere from 10 to 15 inches. So even though the track has shifted west, folks, this is still a huge storm system for us. Lots of rain, lots of wind over the next 24 to 36 hours.
And we'll stick with you. Thank you, Steve. Now, we do have some breaking news because our Andrew Ruiz, News Channel 5 reporter, is right now at Delray Beach. This is where beachgoers are actually
Ребята, будем вместе все смотреть презентацию iPhone 8 на следующей неделе, это во вторник.
Hey, Ashley, yeah, we're on Atlantic Avenue, and they are restricting access to the barrier island or to the actual beach portion of Delray Beach. You can see this officer, again, talking to some of the pedestrians, also making sure that the traffic that is going in is also limited. Of course, they evacuated the island yesterday. There's a curfew here in Delray Beach. There's still a lot of people out here. I mean, it is a sunny day, and so there are people who are not necessarily paying attention to the curfew. But again, police officers are doing their very best to make sure that people do abide by it. We've also been told that there is an issue of keeping people off the beach. Not only getting people over there, but actually on the beach. There are a lot of people who are trying to see, the surf coming in. And again, they say that the beaches are closed. You're not allowed to do that. And so they're having one of those issues here in Delray Beach. I spoke a little while ago to the acting city manager here in Delray Beach. And he actually was in Hurricane Andrew. And he said that it was actually forecasted, of course, to come up here between the Broward and Palm Beach line. And everyone may recall that it actually went and hit South Miami-Dade. And so he says, don't be so sure with this forecast. I mean, yes, the models are there and technology has advanced. But again, he just wants people to make sure that they are safe than sorry in this situation, where we especially are expecting some of these impacts or some of these feeder bands to come in tomorrow. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Andrew. 11:44 right now, and before this storm got closer to us, they were estimating FPL that 9 million customers in Florida would be without power. We do have a new update right now.
They're speaking live. Let's go to Florida Power and Light.
The electric system. Plug the appliances that you're going to be using directly into the generator, not the main panel, not the main electric panel, please. We take the safety of our customers very seriously.
Да, ураган ослабился до 4-й категории, но сейчас опять набрал обороты. Да-да.
The cars and trucks of non-FPL employees who are helping with the restoration effort will be typically marked as FPL-approved contractors or emergency workers. FPL employees, contractors, and workers from other utilities who are helping with the restoration effort may need to work on your property, but they do not need to enter your home. After a storm.
Ребята, напишите, нравится ли такая трансляция вам вот так вот вместе. Мы делаем обзор на вторжение урагана Ирма.
Venture out in the dark because you might not be able to see a downed power line that could be energized and could be dangerous. These are all serious safety measures. We have them on our website at fpl.com, and we want you to exercise the utmost in safety. I would be remiss if I didn't say that most fatalities in an event like this do occur when the storm has passed. And that's our biggest concern, is the safety of our customers and the safety of our crews. Also, make sure you stay connected with us. You can download the FPL mobile app in the App Store or on Google Play. That will allow you to report an outage, get outage updates, and view information on your account. We've already had some 400,000 customers download the app, please do so. It will help us and it will help you stay connected. You also should go to fpl.com/stormed, and there will be information there as well, not just about outages, but what you can do to stay safe. Finally, let me just offer our sincere thanks for the support.
Да. Даже высота может быть не до 3,7, а выше. Это да, передают все время.
With that, I'm happy to take any questions. We do have a couple that I just want to address. One, are we changing our focus on Southwest Florida? I think I did address that.
Вообще интересно, конечно, вот такой вот ход событий, но с точки зрения погодных вот таких катаклизмов. Ураган действительно сильный, очень мощный. Какие действия, как развиваться события будут?
So we will start to see bands of weather. The bands of the storm will start to approach. As we see that, and keep in mind again what I said about Mother Nature not having done any kind of house cleaning in South Florida, in particular on the West Coast, in more than a decade, a lot of vegetation is going to start flying, and when they go into our lines, they can have an impact. Now we have what we believe is the strongest, most resilient grid in America, but remember the strength of this storm. At any given point, this can be a Category 5 storm, it's a Category 4 storm. We have to be ever vigilant. Our system is very strong, we've invested heavily in it, but we still have situations where vegetation, particularly off of our right-of-way, will get into our lines. Any other questions?
Some customers are also wondering, you're going to do restoration now. Are you still doing restoration now?
Absolutely. We are out restoring power now. We will be out in the storm restoring power so long as the wind is not in excess of 35 miles an hour and 40 miles an hour for safety for our crews, but 35 miles an hour for us to be able to fly what we call our buckets. Those are the buckets you see on the back of our trucks. We need to have wind that is less than 35 miles an hour to do that. We will be out restoring power, rest assured, but I think everybody needs to continue to not get lulled into a sense of complacency. When you see the weather forecast shift, and they downgraded from a 4 to a 3 or a 5 to a 4, let's remember that is an extremely dangerous storm. And safety must be first and foremost for our customers and for our crews. So with that, we will continue to keep you updated. We appreciate your tuning in to Facebook Live and taking this feed. If there's any questions, you can call us on our media line. Thank you.
A couple of key points he made there is, to be patient. These workers have been ready for this. They're positioned. The tools are ready. But we do need to be patient to make sure that those workers are safe. And another thing is afterward, to make sure that if somebody's talking to you, there's something going on, to make sure that person is a certified FPL worker if you're interacting with them in some way.
Absolutely, absolutely true. We know that the great work they did after Matthew restoring service, and we know they'll be very hard at work getting that service restored as soon as possible. Okay, let's take a live look right now from a high-rise in Singer Island, very local here. Just taking a look at it myself. Yep, you can see it's overcast. Starting to get choppy waves there as well, Ashley.
Some frothy white ocean. We don't typically see it look quite that rough out there at Singer Island. Just a beautiful, peaceful beach on most days where it's sunny. That live look, this is just going to continue to deteriorate in our area. So we'll continue to bring you images like that. You don't have to go out anywhere to look at this. We will be bringing you absolutely the best images we can. And only on 5, this is interesting too, earlier this weekend, or this week,
было бы на понятном языке, смотри перевод, это же все-таки с Америки идет, поэтому говорят на английском языке. Ну ничего, так мы в основном понимаем, о чем идет речь, и мы общаемся тут, так что... У нас тут есть, ребята, если кто есть ребята, кто хорошо понимает английский, можете в чате тоже немножко делать перевод такой. Его уже показывали, на нем зависло. Так что, ребята, если я буду тоже добавлять кое-какой перевод по ходу трансляции, но если кто есть, кто может на английском делать перевод, пожалуйста, пишите в чате. Вот на нем так и зависло.
You can watch all of the things Line Countries Party does to keep the animals and people safe on the WPTV Facebook page. If you're feeling antsy, a little cabin fever, there's a way to spend a few minutes.
Yeah, there you go. All right, you know, one of the big concerns with Hurricane Irma, Lake Okeechobee. So many people have been asking that on Facebook about the risk of flooding. We do care. We are there. WPTV News Channel 5 Stephanie Susskind is following the latest out of Clewiston right now.
Well, we are in Clewiston right now, right along the water that leads you straight out to Lake Okeechobee, and you can see the wind is really starting to pick up in this area. So we are just west of the Palm Beach County line now, officially in Hendry County, and this entire area, the city of Clewiston, is under a mandatory evacuation. Now we are on our way heading west toward Fort Myers. That we know the cone of Hurricane Irma has shifted west, and so my photographer and I are headed in that direction to bring you coverage from the Fort Myers area. Again, the wind really starting to pick up out here in this area of Clewiston, this whole area under a mandatory evacuation. Reporting in Clewiston, Stephanie Susskind, WPTV News Channel 5.
And we do have some breaking news we need to get to right now, and this is one you want to listen to this for just a moment. The scale of this is quite something. The state of Florida is asking another 700,000 people to evacuate their homes in advance of Hurricane Irma. Nearly 7 million people right now are being urged to evacuate multiple states. 700,000 more in the state of Florida being asked to evacuate their homes in advance of Irma. This storm is absolutely massive, so... Yeah. Has quite an update right there.
Yeah, because really you're hearing the other side of the state, right. Tampa, you know, Hillsborough County especially, we heard from their emergency operations center, basically kind of echoing what we said 2 days ago, you know, when it was looking like it was going to come here, but now the track going west, so that's why you're seeing this new round, undoubtedly. Speaking of Irma, we're seeing devastation to the Caribbean island of Barbuda for the first time in this way. People were trying to get out before another major hurricane makes landfall as well.
Yeah, Hurricane Jose could slam into that island this weekend as a Category 4 hurricane. That is something that will not threaten us here in Florida. But authorities are ordering all 1,400 people on the island of Barbuda to move to neighboring Antigua. Many buildings on the island were reduced to rubble when Hurricane Irma battered the Caribbean. It did make landfall, I believe, there in Barbuda Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, we are, wow, look at that. Poor folks out there. Yeah, that's tough right there.
All right, we're at 11:54 right now. We are going to go to break, but don't worry, we'll be right back with more Hurricane Irma coverage.
Так, ребята, смотрим веб-камеру. Что у нас на веб-камере есть? Так, вот такая картинка с ветром и дождем. Хорошо, там тепло, можно и на улице пережить. Ну, не совсем, конечно, на улице долго там не проживешь. Все равно как-никак надо иметь жилище какое-то. Солнце, да, солнце, тепло, да. Постоянно тепло. Но все равно какое-то жилище нужно иметь. Так, здесь уже такая вот картинка нарисовывается. С сильным ветром и дождем. Сильный ветер и дождь. Так, я скажу, что У них еще сколько по времени сейчас? Начало 11-го, где-то 12-го, значит, у них еще где-то ближе к вечеру уже должно еще больше усилиться это все дело. А с субботы на воскресенье в ночь ударит, наверное, по Флориде. А, уже через 2 часа ожидают начала. То есть как бы раньше говорили на субботы на воскресенье. Но там еще ребята какие-то пытаются на велосипедах кататься. Я вообще поражаюсь. Это явно тоже, которые снимают. Точно, что снимают. Двое. Да, через 2 часа продолжить стрим. Да, я, скорее всего, наверное, так и сделаю. Может, мы сделаем сейчас небольшую паузу такую. Потом все возвращайтесь. И будем продолжать трансляцию. Посмотрим, что в новостях будет. По веб-камерам посмотрим. Ну, кто, ребята, смотрите... захочет, приходите, присоединяйтесь к нашей трансляции. Посмотрим, как обстоят дела. Да, видно, как усиливается. И то, что люди там еще ходят, это вообще, конечно. Но видно усиление сильного ветра. Волн. Как говорится, обстановка накаляется. Смотрите, вы можете, вот Вано, допустим, вы пишете, чтобы стрим не выключать, но вы можете поставить на моем канале, подписывайтесь, поставьте колокольчик. И когда я буду вести стрим, вам сразу придет сообщение, сразу нажмете и зайдете на мой канал, будем вместе смотреть трансляцию. Да, правильно, Мэри. Подписаться на канал и нажать на колокольчик. Тогда вы будете в курсе. А, ну все окей. Все. Если все сделали, все хорошо. Можете тоже делиться с друзьями трансляцией. Приходите. Или в избранное, да. И также приходите. Вместе будем смотреть. И это, я вам скажу, еще будет действительно до того момента, пока не стемнеет. То есть днем. Днем, пока не стемнеет. То есть, да, через 2 часа еще будет у них светло, конечно. Но видно, как волны усиливаются капитально. Было бы интересно последовательно смотреть, но все равно это все записывается, это все как бы можно прокрутить назад, посмотреть. Оно, не переживайте, все, как говорится, можно увидеть последовательно и в записи. Сейчас у них 12 дня, да, ну да. Значит, это ближе к 2 часам. Вот уже какая-то машинка подъехала. Наверное, за теми, что тут бегали. Снимали. Наверное, сообщили, что кто-то тут бегает. Вот уже, скорее всего, эта машина точно за ними приехала. Записи неинтересно. Не, ну, мы будем вести... Я, скорее всего, выйду... быстрее, чем 2 часов, не будем ждать. Вот, да, точно, машинка курсирует, смотрит, нет ли каких-то, которые тут экстремалы бегают с камерами. Видите, машина курсирует. То есть я выйду раньше, чем через 2 часа. На трансляцию мы будем смотреть. Давайте приходите на трансляцию и будем вместе общаться также. А, вот они, эти двое, которые там. Вот. Явно им ничего не сказали. Вот сказали. Тоже это, делитесь трансляцией с моего канала. Заходите, смотрите видео. Солнечные вспышки, я думаю, может быть связаны с этим всем. Да, видно, что ветер усилился сильно.